What would you say is like your demographic?
It breaks my heart to say it, but 16 to 24-year-olds.
16?
And so this guy's main age demographic, remember, he's making the steroids himself, selling them. The main age demographic, 16 to 24. And so for the most part, these are teenagers. Coach Greg, in today's video, the steroid epidemic, it's at its all-time worst. No time in human history have more young men been abusing steroids than there is right now.
And we're about to see Tom Powell.
He's been openly taking steroids for a number of years now.
Do you still think there's like bad connotations with steroid use and like the whole stigma of your balls will shrink?
That's not stigma, that's true.
And because steroid discussions are so open right now, people are no longer shy.
Yeah, my balls are tiny. Well, my balls are pretty small.
That guy asked him, you know, there's a lot of myths of steroids, your balls will be small and so on. He's like, what do you mean about a myth? My balls are tiny. No one gives a shit anymore. People can talk about what cycles are on. They can go on trend, test, you name it, talk about it openly. And so as a result of that, more and more people are thinking about it. Being open, honest, and transparent is good on the one hand. It allows people to know the dangers. And people no longer think that all those amazing physique were trained with 100% hard work. They know that steroids, for the most part, aided them. But what the negative part about it is more people are aware of it, and so more people are tempted to do it.
Back in school, I was a chubby little kid. So for years, I was, till I realized girls don't like fat guys.
Does that sound a little strange to you? But for the most part, this is often the case. Men are trying to improve their body so that they can look good for the opposite sex. Now, I know many of your people say, no, people are marrying, they're doing their thing, they're doing the Sam Sulek, they're trying to get all this muscle, and it's only for them. But are they really? Are they really only building all this muscle because they themselves want it? Do you not think that they're being influenced by societal expectations? Do you really think 100 years ago that people were thinking, oh, I need to have a six-pack. I need to have my lats point out a certain way so that I can get girls or look good as I reflect in the mirror? There's no way you can sit there and tell me that you're only putting on this muscle for yourself. You most certainly are doing it because you're trying to get admiration, appearance, likes from other people.
Yeah, I felt pressure to stay in shape more. It wasn't the reason why I jumped on steroids. It was a contributing factor. Obviously, I wanted to look good all the time because you're constantly in the public eye.
And to me, this is along the lines of performance dysmorphia. The better you look, the better you're going to want to look. The guy was Love Island. He was literally chosen as a model based on how he looks. But after doing the show, he then decided to go on steroids. You're thinking, look at him. He already looks incredible. Why would he do that? Performance dysmorphia. Why do you think I use performance-enhancing drugs? Many of you are looking at my old photos and say, if I look like that, I'd never take any. The better you look, the better you're going to want to look. It's as simple as that. There is no end game. There is no end goal. No matter how good you get, you're always going to want more.
The main reason why I went to Love Island is because I wanted to become a sponsored athlete. I asked them straight away, I was like, boys, talk to me about steroids. Are you on them? And they said, yeah, you can't get anywhere in this industry without them.
I also wanted to be a sponsored athlete. What do I have to do? Take steroids. You need to be a pro. Win your pro card, you get all the sponsorships, money, fame, everything. And so why do you think people are doing it? We see Chris Bumstead starting steroids at 18 years of age, 4-time Mr. Olympia champion, probably going to win his 5th title. And what do you think the young generation is going to do? They become a bunch of Sam Suleks. Not saying that Sam Sulek is bad, but he is certainly not natural. At least that's what I believe. We don't know he's actually taking anything. And so you can pretend all you want. Pretend he's just as natural as Mike O'Hearn and The Rock. Or you could say, is he in fact abusing steroids? Is he in fact endangering his health?
You can go into any single gym and buy steroids within 5 minutes of being in there.
And it's essentially true. And you don't even have to go to a gym. They're literally going to come to you. You can type it in Google, do a search, and if it's not steroids, how hard do you think it is to get SARMs and or peptides? And although they're cracking down on it, SARMs, peptides, and so on, many are going to be illegal. For the longest time, there's been a legal loophole, not for human consumption. Have you read that? So you buy your SARMs, peptides, it says not for human consumption, but what are you doing with it really? Are you really giving it to your rat? And are you introducing those peptides into your body? Because if you are, it says on the label, not for human consumption. And so if you're doing that, you're doing it wrong.
So what's the biggest you've ever got?
120 kilos lean. 5-6 years ago when I first started taking steroids, I wanted to be these, topless influencers that were shredded. I wanted to be that.
And so he abused steroids for 5 years, got to 120 kilograms lean. That's 264 pounds. It's a lot of muscle.
I take TRT now, which is called testosterone replacement therapy. It's a very low level of testosterone. It's not for muscle gains. It's just for replenishing replenishment of me.
But he says, since that time, I'm just on HRT. And HRT, it's not for building muscle. Let me tell you this right now. I'm on HRT, 140 milligrams a week, and I can tell you for fact it builds muscle. It's not just replenishing what you have, because even if it is, it's replenishing what you have, but keeping it at a consistent basis. If you're natural, not on HRT, your testosterone level is going to go up and down. You stay up all night partying, perhaps your testosterone gets cut in half. And because of these fluctuations, you won't build as much muscle if you're natural as you will if you're on HRT. And if you abuse steroids like Coach Greg, admittedly, I'm not trying to pretend I didn't do this, but if you do that and you then stop, you're going to lose a lot of muscle. And so what do people do? Well, they go on HRT. And so if you took steroid cycles in the past and you stop, for the most part, you're going to be a very small version of what you once were. You'll never come close to getting the physique you once had. You perhaps were a competitive bodybuilder, and if you stop, you are going to be shocked at the amount of muscle you're going to lose. But if you're on HRT, you can in fact keep a lot more of it. Not all of it, of course, but certainly a lot more muscle than if you go on nothing. And so when you see influencers saying they're on HRT, they could actually stop and go off everything, but their life would not be the same. Their sex drive, their mood, the amount of muscle they have, it would go down dramatically. And so for the most part, people who abuse steroids, once they stop, they are going to be on HRT for the rest of life. Case in point, myself. And so if you ever plan on even attempting a cycle, remember, it may in fact be something you'll have to do for the rest of your life.
What were the side effects?
This is where I was taking tren my third cycle, so I had a lot. My mood swings were up and down, night terrors, which is horrible dreams every single night. Couldn't keep a hard on.
Damn.
I looked incredible.
And so although he looked his best, he felt his worst.
You did something mad recently, like you were having a surgery and then you live streamed it?
Yeah, I had gyno surgery. Gyno's a build-up of estrogen behind the nipple.
Why did you live stream it, bro?
To raise awareness, I know it's a bit crazy. The more people it sees, the more people it reaches, the more people are going to see it and maybe get it checked out. So I thought, yeah.
Well, obviously for views, but at the same time, gynecomastia surgery is extremely common. This doctor's doing 2 or 3 days, 5 days a week, probably 15 surgeries every single week. And this is from testosterone converting to estrogen, and this estrogen is causing breast tissue development. It's known as gynecomastia. Many male bodybuilders taking steroids end up with this breast tissue, and they don't like it. It's like a hard lump that forms under the nipple. You can become self-conscious of this, and a surgery can go for upwards of over $5,000.
Is it more for fitness or is it more like an aesthetic?
I am so unfit, honestly.
And so to say the fitness industry is actually fit, that is a misnomer. Really? Do you really think the fitness industry, it's all about getting fit? Or is it about looking aesthetic? And looking fit is not the same thing as being fit. When I was an IFBB pro professional bodybuilder competing at my biggest and leanest, I had the worst fitness I could ever have. The worst blood work, the worst cardio, and although I looked amazing, I never felt it.
Are you still on steroids right now?
Yeah.
For a steroid user to hear that, that is a slap in the face. And so likely what could happen is he'll go home and double his dose. He didn't even notice that I was on steroids. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to take more. And for the most part, when you go to the gym and look around and you say, oh, I bet that guy is and that guy isn't, half the people that are on steroids, you can't even tell. Why? Because they look average or below average. Many people take steroids just so that they can fit in, just so they can look average. Wow, the amount of gynecomastia that this guy had, that is a lot. And for this to me, hard to watch, and I'm not even squeamish. I don't care about the sight of blood, but seeing all these glands taken out of a man, it's a little hard to watch. A little tough on the stomach.
If that doesn't put you off taking steroids, I genuinely don't know what will.
And if that's not enough, how about this? Liver failure, kidney disease, high cholesterol, heart attack, stroke, death. Well, if that's not enough, there's even more. And for the most part, this one is worse. People are more worried about the fact they might get a lot of acne. You might get a lot of acne if you do steroids. For most people, getting acne and getting gynecomastia are worse deterrents than people dying of a heart attack. I'm not making this shit up. More people are concerned, worried about getting gynecomastia and acne taking steroids than they are from dying of it. And so what does that tell you? People will do whatever it takes to have the dream physique, to look the part. People willing to do anything.
And I'm about to meet an international steroid dealer who makes steroids in his kitchen.
Imagine people sitting at home and making their own steroids and getting hair in it.
And if you're buying it, over the internet or even from your local dealer, you don't know what the fuck you're getting. Especially when you're injecting it straight into your muscle. Has it got hairs in it? Has it got bits of fucking shit floating in it? That's going to give you sepsis.
And so the guy's making steroids in his own kitchen. He's talking about you buy something, you don't know if you're getting hair in it and bits and pieces in it. I'm pretty sure that they're going to filter this out and put it in a sterile environment. I highly doubt they're putting cat hair into the steroid jar. I mean, what do people think? Do they really think people are making this in their bathtub? Oh, let's just plug the drain in the bathtub, pour in several liters of stuff, mix it up, and let's put it in bottles. No, of course not.
Every time you take this shit, you're risking your fucking life.
And so what he is accurate on is every time you're taking this shit, you're risking your life. That is 100% factual because you don't know what you're taking. And even if you're taking something from a pharmacy, something that has been shown to be 100% safe, you perhaps did a faulty injection. If you did not use an alcohol swab on the skin, you might have bacteria on it. And as you poke the skin, you're introducing that bacteria into the body. And of course, this can grow and multiply and you can get serious problems. Have to go to the doctor, get your leg drained, cut, surgeries, and so on. And so please, please be more careful than last time.
What would you say is like your demographic?
It breaks my heart to say it, but 16 to 24-year-olds.
16?
And so this guy's main age demographic, remember, he's making the steroids himself, selling them. The main age demographic, 16 to 24. And so for the most part, these are teenagers, 16, 17, 18, 19. And so for the most part, these guys are at a very impressionable age. They don't have a strong ego. They don't know what they should look like. And so they fall prey to the social media influencers who look amazing. And so they resort to using performance enhancing drugs at such a young age.
What would you say to any young person who's thinking about taking steroids?
Don't fucking take it, it'll ruin your life.
Even the drug dealer himself, even the guy making this is saying, don't take this cookbook shit. It's not worth it. It can ruin your life. And so he speaks of being an ethical drug dealer. If it's possible, perhaps it is, perhaps it isn't. I'm not here to argue that. But when you think of guys like Chris Bumstead, who started at just 18 years of age, and to reach nearly 20 million followers, it's hard to imagine the temptation that these young children have. Imagine being 16, 17, 18 years of age, and being around all this pressure to look amazing. It was not like this when I was their age, and so I can't envy being a kid right now. It has to be so much more difficult being a kid right now, and so I absolutely do not envy them. The choices, decisions, temptations that are introduced to these kids, it must be extremely difficult for them to say no.
What's your stance on some of your athletes maybe taking steroids? Do you advise it or not?
I mean, this looks like the guy that was making steroids in the kitchen with the same little facial hair and whatnot. Look at the size of him. Do you think there's any of your athletes that are using steroids? Nope. Nobody that I coach ever would use steroids. I mean, really, this is ridiculous. Come on. We all know what's going on.
It's something that someone needs to come to the conclusion themselves.
And I'm just kidding. Of course, this guy would never take steroids. He would never give them to his athletes. He would never coach people how to do it. No one would ever do that. He's as natural as Michael Hearn and The Rock.
Have you or anybody else, do you know, are they taking steroids for preparation for this?
I do take steroids.
Oh, you do take steroids?
I do take steroids, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all controlled. It's not abused.
Do you know anyone who's taken steroids? Yes, I've actually taken steroids. Really? Yes. Yes, but it's very safe and not abused. You can't take steroids without abusing them. Are you kidding me? You can't go on a performance-enhancing drug cycle that's not prescribed by your doctor and say, oh, it wasn't in abusive doses. Any amount of steroids that you're taking is abuse.
But it's all controlled. It's not abused. I have my bloods taken before and after a course to minimise any risks that they may pose.
Just because you're taking your blood work before and after a cycle doesn't mean that during that cycle you weren't on an abusive dose. This is ridiculous. And so please, people, any of you that are taking steroids, you're abusing them. You can't just say, oh, I took a smaller cycle. It was only 500 milligrams. It was only for 12 weeks. It wasn't abusive. Abusive doesn't mean you're taking the same cycle as your favorite influencer on YouTube. It means you're taking steroids without the advice and consent from your doctor. And so unless you went to the doctor and they told you to take it, you are abusing steroids.
David Crossland, a former steroid-using bodybuilder, has turned his efforts to harm reduction.
It's difficult to say that someone's died because of steroids. It's a time thing. It's a constant abuse situation.
And so he's saying it's difficult to say that steroids causes death, but what steroids do is it makes that death much quicker. If you were going to get a heart attack inevitably because of your genetics, well, if you take steroids, you're probably going to get that heart attack several years sooner. And so in essence, when you take steroids, it's a ticking time bomb that was sped up. It's on double play, triple play, quadruple. You don't know. It's much faster. And so as long as you are going to live on this earth due to your genetics, taking steroids, it's going to diminish that time here on this earth. And so my advice, don't do it. Don't take it. I know it's tempting. Of course, I fell prey to this. But remember, at least I waited 42 shows. At least I waited till I was much older. And so the longer you wait, the more your brain develops, the better decisions you can make. And so please hold off as long as possible. I know that some of you are going to be doing this and some of you are doing it right now, but please consider your doses, get your blood work done. And although they're not as strong as steroids and or SOMs, there are natural supplements that can help. For example, G-test, 3-test, these have been shown to increase testosterone levels 200 to 400 nanograms per deciliter. Also, Ecti Builder with various Ecti steroids shown to increase your ability to build muscle, also keep muscle when you stop training, as well as GO2 Max, the main ingredient, NMN, shown in double-blind, placebo-controlled human studies to make a significant difference in the walking test score, increased cardio, more energy, you're becoming a better butter burner, you burn more calories in less length of time, you are going to increase your metabolism, makes it easier to lose weight. Interested in any of that supplements or the cookbooks, of course, use code Greg for 10% off. Ending it here. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Don't forget to watch at least one of those 2 bloops. Training books, coaching plans by me and my team, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line, all of that on the website. And don't forget about the free diet and training program, your first and last name and email address, close to 50 pages. Head over there right now. Whether you have money or not, head over to the website. And until next time, I am out.